everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making some fried jerk chicken. So what we're going to start off first with is our milk bath, our milk soak, whatever you want to call it. You can either use almond milk, regular milk, or even buttermilk. I don't have any buttermilk, so I'm going to be using almond milk. So I'm just going to fill this up enough. I'm going to be using chicken wings, so I'm going to fill this up enough to cover my wings enough, so about that much. And then we're going to season our milk. So I'm going to take some pepper. You can season it with how much seasoning you want to use, or whatever seasoning you want to use. So pepper, cayenne pepper, parsley. So the milk bath is gonna be what tenderizes the meat and helps the meat to hold the seasoning more. So I like to season mine enough. Garlic powder, oregano leaves, Jamaican jerk seasoning. So I'm going to put enough of this because this is what I really want it to be, taste like. Some paprika. Some accent salt, just to bring out all the flavors in there. And then we're going to take a little bit of my jerk marinade seasoning. So let me get a spoon, a fork. And I'm just going to take about a teaspoon. And then we're just going to mix all of this together. So that is it for our milk bath. Now I'm going to get my clean chicken that I just cleaned with vinegar. So we're going to take that milk bath and just drench our chicken with it. So we're just going to drench our chicken with that. Make sure they're all covered because they're going to be sitting in the fridge for, I'm going to leave mine in the fridge for a good 2 to 3 hours. You can marinate it for a day or even an hour. But I'm going to be marinating mine for about 2 to 3 hours. So we'll be back to finish the process. Okay, so now let's make our flour, which is going to be our top coat for the chicken. So I'm going to be using some whole wheat flour. You can use white flour, whatever flour you prefer. So I'm just going to take enough. I'm going to do not too much, but that should be enough. That should be enough. Maybe a little too much, but that's good. Okay, so I'm going to season this flour up because I like to make sure everything is seasoned, not overly seasoned, but seasoned enough. The seasonings I use more of unsalted seasonings, and then I go in with the salted seasonings just to weigh out my seasonings. So I'm going to go in with some garlic powder. Then I'm going to go in with some oregano. A little bit of cayenne, because this is jerk chicken, so it's going to be a little spicy, but I don't want it too spicy because, my son eating it. Then I have some paprika. So we're kind of going in with some of the same, well, Not all of the same ones, but most of the same seasonings that we had. So since we're seasoning flour, I have to make sure I put enough seasoning. Then of course we're going in with that Jamaican jerk seasoning. Some pepper. And last, I have a packet of some Caribbean jerk seasoning that I also want to add to my flour. So I might not add it all, but I do want to add some. Okay. So let's mix this up. You know, I think I'm gonna go in and add the rest of that. Maybe a little bit more of it. And that's enough. And maybe a little bit of salt. No, this is gonna be fine because we're also gonna be making a sauce, a jerk sauce. But that's gonna be last. So we have our seasoned flour. So as you know, we have our marinated chicken. Let me get that out. My chicken has been marinating for a good 3 hours now. Okay. So a good 3 hours. And this is how it looks. So before we get into the chicken, I'm gonna put this to the side. I do want to take my pan, so I'll be right back as soon as I get the pan ready. Hello you guys. So I'm saying hello again, but anyway, so we're about to put on the cabbage for one of our sides for our fried jerk chicken. So I'm just gonna put it on medium heat. I'm gonna go in with some olive oil. And I just cleaned my cabbage and cut and cleaned it. So I'm just gonna go add in my cabbage part by part. Because I wanna like kind of layer it and then season it and layer it. That's just how I do it. So I'm just seasoning with some garlic powder, a little bit of vegetable bouillon, and a little bit of chicken bouillon, each layer. So just the chicken one. So let me go in with that next layer. Just want to start. I mix it up good. And I did clean my cabbage with vinegar as well. I'm gonna season this layer. And it does look like a lot only because it does shrink down. So I'm gonna cut the heat down to about medium low. That was pepper, and going in with those same seasonings. And then I'm going in with my last layer. Just remember that just because I put all of that seasoning, it's really not going to be a lot because it is going to have liquids in it. And I am going to be adding liquid to it as well. It's going to make liquid and I'm going to be adding. Okay, so that's the last of that. So I'm going to do my last seasoning for the top. And then we're going to add in our liquid. So I'm just going to go in with a little more of that chicken bouillon. A little more of garlic powder. And pepper. And then I'm going to do a half a cup of the bone broth. You don't have to use broth. You can use water, or you can also use chicken broth, whichever you prefer. So I'm just going to go in with that for now, because it's also going to make its own liquid. So, and I'm going to be covering so that is our cabbage cooking. Next, we're going to be starting on our chicken. So in this pot, I just moved the cabbage over to the other side of the stove. So in this pot, I'm going to be cutting it up to like a medium heat. So we're going to be putting in our oil for frying the chicken. I'm going to be using grapeseed oil. It's a more healthier option. You can use vegetable, canola, whichever you prefer. So I'll be like shallow frying it, so I'm not gonna need a lot of oil. Not really shallow frying it, but I'm not gonna be, we'll just see. Like I'm gonna be flipping it, if you get what I mean. So of course I'm going to put a good amount of flour. I meant not flour, oil. Which is basically the whole bottle for this pan. Now if you have a smaller pan, it wouldn't be that much. But this is fine. Okay, so this, I'm just going to cut it on low, a little bit low. Not really low. I'll keep it on that because it's going to take a minute to heat up. Not that long, but we're about to work on our chicken. Okay, so I'm back. I think my grease is hot. So as you can see, this is my chicken after about 3 hours or 4 hours of marinating. And it's juices that I made in the milk bath or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to toss these around in there a little bit more. And then I'm just going to take them from there into the dry and into the oil. I'm going to put the oil down just a little bit to like medium, till about medium, a little bit low. So I'm going to take them out of there and toss them in that dry batter. And I'm going to put them into the oil. Like that into the oil. So I am going to raise that a little bit more. It is frying. I'm just trying to make sure it's not too high. So it's just right. I'm just going to keep doing that, taking it out of that wet into the dry and into the grease. And I'm just going to continue to do this and we'll be right back. So this is just how I'm frying them in the grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is a more healthier option. It's actually pretty good for your body. I mean, nothing deep fried is also amazing for your body, but it's a way better option than canola or vegetable oil. So as you can see, I'm doing a shallow fry. And I'm just going to flip them after about 5 to 10 minutes, probably 10 minutes. And then, you know, as they come up the color as I like it. And I'll just keep adding more chicken, taking chicken out, adding more chicken. And we'll be right back. Okay, so now as our chicken is frying, we're going to be making our sauce. So what you're gonna need is some jerk marinade seasoning. It's kind of like a thicker seasoning, but you're definitely gonna need this. But you're also gonna need a liquid jerk sauce and some brown sugar. So how I make my sauce is first off, this stuff is kind of hot. Even though it says mild, it's kind of hot. So probably I'm going to use about 3 teaspoons. This one is more sweet. Not really sweet, but it's more not as hot. So I'm going to add this as well. And I'm probably going to use the whole thing, but I do want to taste it and everything. Okay. So yeah, it's actually perfect. So I'm just going to add that whole thing in. Okay, I hope you guys can see it better. Okay, so of course I like my jerk seasoning a little bit sweeter, so I add brown sugar to mine. I'm not sure if a lot of people do that, or if it's just me, but add enough, maybe about a tablespoon. And then we're going to have to taste it again just to make sure. Make sure that that sugar is nice and blended. Okay, so I'm going to be adding a little bit more brown sugar. About another tablespoon. And we're going to taste this again. And that is perfect. So that's perfect. Okay, so I do want to heat this up on the stove just to make sure that the sugar is nice and melted. And we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, we're back over here with our chicken. Now we're just going to check the other side. Okay, it's exactly how I want it. So yep, we're just going to flip each chicken. Yes, that looks amazing. And we're just gonna let this cook on this side. Always one chicken that don't want to flip. Okay, so we're gonna let this cook and we'll be right back. Okay, you guys, so I'm back for the last part about the chicken. So as you can see, this is how it fried up, nice and golden and delicious. So we're gonna take our sauce that we made earlier that I heated up, and it's still hot because I just cut it off, actually. So I'm going to take some of that sauce, and I'm just going to drizzle it all over that chicken. I hope you guys can see this real good. But yeah, I'm going to just not drench it, but nice and glaze it. Glaze all our chicken. So I'm going to mix these up. And I'm going to put more sauce on them. Although there's sauce at the bottom, but that's okay. So let's pour some more sauce on that. And this is how I make my fried jerk wings. And when I say they are so good, so delicious, so flavorful, and they are spicy. I told you I had that mild sauce, that mild marinade, but it still comes out super spicy. Not super spicy, but spicy. That's why I kind of cool it down with the sweetness and everything. So this is how those beautiful wings look, and I'll show you guys it plated in 1 second. I also want to tell you guys, I did just make a box red beans and rice, which is just by Zatarain's. This is my favorite brand. So, yep, and I'll show you guys it plated in 1 second.